You know, the biggest message out of the 2012 election that you'll never hear from the corporate media in America is this: that Americans believe and voted to affirm that belief. The government can be a solution to the problems we face. The government can do good things, and that Ronald Reagan was wrong. America is not a right-wing nation. We're not even a center-right nation. We never have been. In 1935, FDR brought us Social Security. We loved it then. We still love it now. And that, of course, is just the tip of the iceberg of policies that prove America is a leftist nation. If you call leftists people who believe the government can do things well. It started with the founders who put the phrase general welfare in the Constitution twice. First in the preamble to define the reason our government was created, and then in the powers given to Congress, Article 1, Section 8, to raise taxes and spend money to promote the general welfare. People go, well, that's not one of the enumerated powers. Well, here's what one of our actual founders, Alexander Hamilton, had to say about the general welfare clause that he helped write into the Constitution. He was there at the Constitutional Convention. Although he did leave for a couple of weeks, go back to New York in a fit of pique, because on opening day, he had argued that the president should be appointed for life because we wanted to imitate the British monarchy, and they hooted him out of the room. But in any case, he came back, and he said, this was in the 21st part of his report to Congress. I misattributed it last week to the Federalist Papers. It's Hamilton's report to Congress on how to build a strong manufacturing sector, also known as his report on manufacturers, written in 1791 when he was the Secretary of the Treasury in the George Washington administration. He said, and I quote, "The terms general welfare were doubtless intended to signify more than was expressed or imported in those which preceded. The phrase is as comprehensive as any that could have been used because it is not fit that the constitutional authority of the Union to appropriate its revenues should have been restricted within narrower limits than the general welfare. It is therefore of necessity left to the discretion of the national legislature to pronounce upon which objects which concern the general welfare, and for which, under that description, an appropriation of money is requisite and proper." End of quote from Alexander Hamilton. Since then, general welfare has included everything from Thomas Jefferson creating a free college system with the University of Virginia to Abraham Lincoln massively expanding that free college system with land-grant colleges across the nation and creating the Department of Agriculture, to Teddy Roosevelt passing the Pure Food Act, the Meat Inspection Act, creating the Department of Commerce and Labor, breaking up big corporations, regulating the railroads, to Dwight Eisenhower building the interstate highway system and massively expanding our schools and hospitals with government funds. You know, during the Eisenhower administration, 80% of the cost of every hospital built in this country was paid for with federal dollars. General welfare has included everything from child labor laws to the 40-hour work week to workplace safety laws. America has always advocated this liberal view as Americans. The first president to sign an appropriation to care for poor, homeless, and hungry people so they could get free housing, medical care, and food when they were down and out or disabled. The first president, George Washington. Our Revolutionary War in 1776 was fought on the premise that government could be good and that we could successfully prove that by creating a good government here in North America. Of course, there have been periods of time when, even though the vast majority of Americans have always been progressive, our government was more conservative. The reason for that disconnect? It's pretty simple. The majority of Americans couldn't even vote until 1920 when women got the vote. And even then, a large minority of Americans were kept away from the ballot box by Jim Crow policies that were only outlawed in the 1960s but continue to this day. In fact, we saw them 6 days ago in places like Ohio and Florida. You have to stand in line for 6, 8, 10 hours to vote. That's Jim Crow. But America has been a liberal nation since our founding. George Washington wrote a letter to Alexander Hamilton in 1796. And he said, if the nation could successfully educate all of our people, quote, sentiments of more liberality in the general policy of the country would result from it, end quote. In other words, George Washington said, give people a good education, they'll become liberals. The result over time was that we ended up with a national policy of free education for all of us. George Washington took us liberal, and we've been moving that way ever since. And so with this massive progressive victory in 2012, when more Democrats than Republicans even got votes for the House of Representatives, the Democratic Party finds itself at a crossroads. Are they going to return to the liberal roots of Thomas Jefferson, the founder of the party, and its standard bearers like FDR and JFK? Or is the Obama administration going to take the third way of discredited conservadems like Ben Nelson, Blanche Lincoln, and Erskine Bowles? At the end of his second term in office, FDR faced this exact same problem within his party. He wanted to go even more progressive, bringing in Democratic Socialist Henry Wallace as his vice president. The party was rebelling, saying they wanted a moderate. So FDR wrote a letter to the party saying, "In the century in which we live, the Democratic Party has received the support of the electorate only when the party with absolute clarity has been the champion of progressive and liberal policies and principles of government. The Democratic Party has failed consistently when, through political trading and chicanery, it has fallen into the control of those interests, personal and financial, which think in terms of dollars instead of in terms of human values. It is best not to straddle ideals. The party must go wholly one way or wholly the other. It cannot face in both directions at the same time." End of quote. The Democratic Party went along with FDR, nominated Wallace, and kept moving in such a progressive direction that FDR even proposed a second Bill of Rights, although he died before he could see it through. So President Obama, Harry Reid, and Nancy Pelosi, question: is your party the party of Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Kennedy? Or is it the party of Joe Lieberman, Erskine Bowles, and Joe Manchin? Is it progressive or blue dog? Because the American people are solidly behind progressive policies. And now is the time the President Obama and the Democratic Party leadership have to decide. Are you with the people or are you with the banksters?